and welcome to the Columbia Comeback. There's a lot going on, as most of you know. Certainly, if you, I don't know if you can see this, but here's my vaccination card on the New York Excelsior Pass Live web. The governor's office announced yesterday or Friday. Is designed to be voluntary, utilizing secure technology to confirm an individual's vaccination or negative COVID test. It was developed by IBM and New York State. It's apparently the first of its kind in the country. It was easy to download and scary that how quickly they could find me with very limited information. But it's apparently one of the things that the state is looking to put in place to help people who are trying to identify individuals quickly for large events or activities, or I assume educational institutions. And I know as I start to see some of the venues reopening, particularly the Times Union Center in Albany for athletic activities, and some of the other larger group activities, it will, it's anticipated that it would help speed up the process of not only in addition to taking your temperature and having you answer the questions, that you could demonstrate you either have had a recent negative test or a vaccination. On Friday, they announced that indoor family entertainment centers can open up at 25% capacity. These include, both indoor and outdoor facilities. And again, much like movie theaters, where we did have some inquiries over the weekend, but at movie theaters, they can open at a reduced capacity. But some of the questions related to their food concession stands, and that the information indicated that you still had to ensure a plexiglass divider between the customer and the person selling the popcorn, but also 6-foot distancing. And then there was a separate reference where you had to go back into the health department's restaurant guidance to ensure that everything was pre-wrapped and single servings. Beginning on April 1st, large professional sports and other sports venues that hold 1,500 indoor or 2,500 outdoor capacity can reopen, limited to 10% indoor and 20% outdoor. Performing arts centers can reopen at 20%. Arts and entertainment venues can reopen up to 100 indoor and up to 200 outdoor. Seating is 33%. Again, not to go through all of this, but to give it as an example of the tedious need for operators of any of the types of businesses or not-for-profit organizations or educational institutions that are identified to go to the governor's website forward, or New York Forward, and click on the links to get as close as you can to what is defined as your business or activity. And that's not always easy. The vaccinations are continuing, but I do understand there's a fairly significant 20 to 30% of people who are reluctant to get the vaccines. And as I looked at my pass online, it says my vaccine, which I ended up with the second shot in February, is only good to the end of April, because remember they put a 90-day limit on the but I believe that's going to be extended as people's they just did that because they didn't have any experience or any data to prove that the vaccine had been tested for that period of time. So basically, the early people who were vaccinated are providing that data in that test case. The SBA has increased its limit from $150,000 up to $500,000. So if you know any businesses that had emergency impact disaster loans, they can apply for additional funds. If they didn't apply before, they can apply again. The SBA will launch on April 8th the portal for the shuttered venue operators. And there was an article in today's Middletown Herald Record about a group of venue operators throughout the state that have come together as independent venue from arts and cultural aspects primarily, where they're asking the state to provide additional funding to the New York State Arts Council of the Arts, to provide additional funding on top of the money for the shuttered venue operators, because there is some concern that those dollars will go to venues in larger cities, and that the money for venues in upstate would not be on a prorated basis. In addition, the governor did announce a free citizens public health training program with in cooperation with Cornell. It's free online training in public health preparedness to not only get volunteers to continue to assist with the vaccination, but to look forward to future potential programs to put in place as it relates to the unknown and other public health issues that might occur going forward. We have on our CEDC and Chamber Columbia Comeback website information that is updated on a daily basis. And we every other week have been sending out an email blast that again highlights all of these activities in a well-organized format for you. We also have a feature on that website where you can ask a question, and we're able to get back to you with either information that leads you to where it's stated in existing guidance, or where we get it right from the governor's regional representative through the control room calls that are held every Friday. We continue to assist small businesses at CEDC, including our loan program and technical assistance. We also have been giving guidance and assistance to businesses who are coming out of the getting reopened. We're looking to give loans to businesses that need to buy inventory for they may have been closed, they may have been not operating, they may be seasonal, and we'll have some exciting news after our board meeting tomorrow about a potential new loan program to expedite that for existing businesses and organizations. Again, I think that there was information that came out through one of the many organizations and businesses and magazines that rank people. Columbia County was ranked #2 statewide for best place for small businesses. And I think that's certainly true, and the numbers support the fact that our economy is 85+% of our economy are businesses under 25 employees. But what that story doesn't really tell is the difficulty that many of those businesses are having, and many of the not-for-profit organizations are having with cash flow and with getting back on their feet. And we know several retail stores in some of the villages and hamlets throughout the county, as well as in Hudson, where they've reopened, but their foot traffic hasn't returned. At the same time, we've heard people who said last summer and the past year was amongst the best years they had. So I think a lot depends on what your product and service is, but at the same time, it's kind of like unemployment. When we were the lowest unemployment in the state, 28 months running. We still never wanted to lose sight of the 3% of the 20,000 plus people in the workforce here, the 600 plus, now the 1,200 plus who are unemployed, because while those numbers looked good relative to other areas of the state or other counties in the region, it still meant that there was a large group of county residents who were in a tough spot. There's a lot of literature and reading now on retraining. I know, we've had discussions with Chris Nardone at the New York Works office, and with Dr. Drummer and her staff, as well as with Questar and the school superintendents, to the extent that some people who were in the workforce who did lose their job as a result of COVID, there will be certain industries and businesses where they don't come back, or if they do come back, their mode of operation will be different, and will require some retraining and different skill sets. And I think that we all need to take a deep breath, but we also need to look forward and begin the road to recovery. And that's a different mindset than, at least I think, we've been in at CEDC. And we are starting to look out as to what is the opportunities for existing businesses, what are the opportunities for those businesses that have closed. And we have a fairly large list of businesses in the county that have closed. But we've also got 29 businesses on our list of active new projects, from hospitality to restaurants to manufacturing to warehousing to energy projects. And so, there is some level of optimism. The home sales are still going crazy, which is great, but it also puts a lot of stress on workers scale as they get squeezed out of the housing market. It's difficult for people who have worked hard to be ready to buy a house to then find that none of the houses that are available, or there are no houses that are available at their price range. So we are working with a number of developers as well, both in the city and out in the towns, and we will be conducting a study with Pattern for Progress and on what housing opportunities there are in the county. And obviously the difficulty is there are only 6 jurisdictions in the county where water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband exist at the same location. So that's kind of an overview from where we are. If you have specific questions or concerns, we're happy to answer them, as well as thoughts and ideas as to what CEDC should be doing from your perspective, looking forward to assist businesses and organizations in the short term, midterm, and longer term here in the county. Well, if there are no questions, I know you are all busy. I know you know where to find us if you have specific questions. And unless you haven't been able to hear me this whole time, I guess. If there are no further questions, Elena or Liz, Dr. Drummer, Michelle?
No, Mike, that sounds great. Thanks for always updating us on stuff. Yeah, things are opening up, but it's the regulations change all the time. So like you said, sometimes it's hard to navigate when you go to the Forward New York site or some of the sites. They've been including stuff in the language that wasn't even there like a week ago. So it's really just trying to keep up to date, as to what they're adding and be on top of it.
And it's not even like a good legal document where it's lined to show changes.
Right. It would be nice if they would highlight when they add something or did, no, it's like sort of like, read it at your own risk and figure it out.
Not to take time, but how was the pop-up arts program on Friday night?
It went really well. It was our first quote unquote public event in the space. So it was a little scary trying to figure out, exactly what to do. But I think things Yeah, the only thing that we've really been doing in this space are film and photo shoots up until this point. We don't have our first wedding scheduled till June. Usually our wedding season would start in April, but that's been pushed back. So yeah, it was a really good learning experience. I think we're gonna, regroup and figure out what was done well and what was done, could be done better. But yeah,
Well, for those of you who weren't aware of it, the state had, the governor had created a initiative where they brought in some professional New York City producer types who were tasked with the responsibility of going around the state and doing some pop-up instantaneous art programs. And I think we had less than just a week's notice in Hudson. And I think it was,
yeah, that was a little scary.
two 1/2 hour performances and 60 people a piece or something like that. And they had time in between to sanitize and
Exactly. So obviously, wiping down the chairs, getting, sort of like almost like flipping it before, the next group came in and stuff. So it was interesting. It was, Basilica Arts kind of helped to oversee that process. So it was a great sort of like, you have to start somewhere. So they jumped in and we did it. And, it, it was definitely, a little scary having not done anything for over a year. So, but yes, so far so good. Yep. Did we lose Mike? Might have lost Mike. Oh, there he is. Oh, lost you there, Mike.
Sorry about that. I'm still not used to all the buttons on all these different platforms, but so.
Yeah, so I just said it was a good first experience, and we actually there's another theater company that's looking to come in, possibly doing something in May, and then I have the wedding season and opening in June, so that's a whole nother can of worms. But we're still trying to figure that out. But yeah, slowly but surely things seem to be going in the right direction. So.
And Elena, are you getting ready for summer programs? And I know you're working with the youth of the city and region every day, but I think it's been a big issue for parents who have to stay home and watch their children instead of going back to work.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy, but yeah, I'm planning the programs for the teenagers, really setting that up. I've met with Daniel Palesci from Carol Drummer's workforce program last week, and we're just trying to get the metrics program started. I want to keep an academic, part in it as well. Yeah.
Great.
So I'll
Well,
keep you posted.
thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Drummer, any updates?
Just we will be still offering classes this summer virtually, and then in the fall we will be offering many more in-person classes than we have been able to, and we are, fingers crossed, we are waiting on word about social distancing. As you read, the K through 12 schools now have been reduced to 3 feet. And if we would be reduced to 3 feet, that would really help us with respect to our in-person classes. What we're trying to grapple with right now is whether or not we should be requiring, like Rutgers announced last week, whether we should be requiring students coming on campus to have been vaccinated, before they start classes. So that'll be an ongoing discussion with SUNY, because I'm not quite sure where that's headed, but we're slowly coming back, I think. I'm just nervous now about, they keep talking about, that we might be at this plateau and then we're in for another surge. So fingers crossed that, we'll get through that without a problem.
Great. Well, I don't know that any of us know what's next, but as we keep focusing and making mid-course corrections and adjustments and keeping our energy up, it'll be, we'll all do the best we can. So, and we certainly, with all the partnerships and relationships that have been developed and that have grown over the last 12 months, hopeful to people, but there's a lot more to do. Great. Well, thank you very much. If anyone has any specific needs, give us a call, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
If not, some of you sooner.